Before we move on to the next video, which goes into a lot of detail about customizing the appearance and formatting your shapes, we're just going to have a look at the shape or object pane, which allows us to work with shapes and get them out of the way if we don't need to use them at that moment. I'll show you what I mean using the Insert tab, and I'm going to pop in a couple of shapes. Okay, so here I've got a few shapes that I've just drawn in, and in a later video we're just going to look at alignment options to make sure that they're perfectly aligned. But if you wanted to work with a shape and other shapes were getting in the way and you found yourself having to move them out the way in order to edit the shape and then bring everything back again, that's obviously not much of a good idea. I'm going to go to undo and bring those shapes back to where they were. Now let's say I wanted to add some text or change the appearance of the blue. I just wanted to shove the yellow and the red out of the way for a sec. If I click on one of those shapes, I've got the Drawing Tools Format tab at the top, which is a contextual tab because it only appears when I've got the shape selected, and there's a button in here called the Selection pane. This creates a list of all the objects on your page. So anything that isn't text, for example a chart or an image or shapes, will be listed in the Selection pane. You can't always edit them, but with shapes you can. You can even bring up the Selection pane from the Home tab, so I've got nothing selected at the moment, and if I click on Select over on the right hand side and then Selection pane, it will bring up this panel on the right. I can show and hide shapes, so if I wanted to work on the blue I could hide the yellow and red for the time being while I made my changes, and then click on Show All to bring them back again. It might be more intuitive if you were to rename these shapes. So instead of Oval 19, if I was to double click on it, I could call it Yellow, and so on. So if I'm hiding yellow, you don't see it. It even works well with grouped objects. If I select all four of those pictures and went to Drawing Tools, Group and Group, then as you can see I've got Group 20, which can be expanded and collapsed in one go. You can even rename the groups to help you when you're working with different objects. But don't forget, if you hide your shapes and you run a document inspector, then you could lose them forever. So if you're hiding your selected objects, just make sure you bring them back again. Let's take a look at another video introducing all sorts of formatting for shapes and changing the appearance of them.